Okay, so then that brings us to inserting data. What if I wanted to instead insert a new user? So I'm going to copy this. Well, first I'm going to comment that out so we have a record of it. And I'll make a note. Selecting data. Okay. Now we're going to try inserting data. And you would think that all we needed to do is something like insert into users, specify, let's say, email, values, and then all we want is, we'll do 1 here. And we have to pay attention to quotes because we're working inside of a string, so we need to use double quotes here. And let's say we just make up an email, we'll call it Wyatt the dog at gmail.com. It's one of my family dogs. So if we do that and we insert that, so if we kept everything else the same, let's just console.log results, just like that. And if there's an error, throw the error. So this is regular SQL, right? If we ran this, and we could verify it, of course. If we ran this right now, it works. So now let's change this a little bit so that we don't end up with 2 of them. But everything else is valid, so let's do that. Run it, connection.query, this query, function blah, 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 blah. If there's an error, let us know. Otherwise, print the results. Let's see what happens. Okay, so look at what we get back. First of all, it says OK packet. We get field count 0, affected rows is 1. There's no message. Everything looks okay. If we went over here and did a select star from users, you'd see that Rusty the dog is now in here. So all of that is looking good. And that's correct. This is working how it should work, which is good. But this is not something that really is helpful to us. Inserting one item at a time that we're hard coding in, where I'm saying Rusty the dog, that's just not great. Like, this is SQL we're writing. We could, if we wanted to insert Rusty the dog exactly, we could just copy it and do what we did and paste it here. What we want is to be able to do dynamic data. So I want to be able to say, which we don't have Faker set up, but I want to be able to say faker.internet.email, which is going to give me a random email address. And I can't just stick that in here. That's not going to work because it's going to just try and insert an email address called faker.internet.email. So there's another syntax we use. In truth, you'll probably never use this for inserting, where you're actually hard coding in the data you're trying to insert. What you'll actually do looks something like this. So we have a slightly different syntax. First thing you'll notice is that I'm creating a variable that is storing the person or the user we're inserting. And it's a JavaScript object where I have a key, email, and then a value, jenny467@gmail.com. We'll come back to that. Then our connection.query looks the same, but our query is different. We're doing insert into users and then this weird set question mark thing. We've never seen that. Is that valid SQL? Is this something else? And then also we have a new argument. We're passing person in as well. And then our regular function with error and result. So what I'm going to do is copy this over. I'm going to comment this one out as well. And I'll call this inserting data take 2 and paste this. Okay, so a couple things to go over. 1, does it work? We'll try that in just a moment. And 2, how does it work? So we've got this insert into users. That's the same, right? That's what we had up here. Insert into users. But then we had to specify exactly what we're inserting. So we'd say, email, and if we had 10 columns, we'd have to say email, comma, X, comma, Y, comma, whatever they are, right? As we're used to. But there's another way. What we can do instead is make a separate entity in JavaScript, an object, where I could come in here and do something like email is Jenny. We don't have name, but we could have, if we had it in our database, we could have name is Jenny. We could have 20 different things. And to insert it all correctly, all I have to do is connection.query, insert into users, and I add set question mark, and then the second argument is this object. And what will happen is this MySQL fancy library, this package, will basically take this object, and it will figure out, okay, there's something called email. Well, then I'm going to turn this query into insert into users email values Jenny at, or Jenny467 at gmail.com. We have a quote issue again, so I'll make those double quotes. Okay, so it will turn it into this. But if I had something like email, and let me indent this a little bit better. Let's say we had email, comma, and let's say birthday is 2001, comma, 11, comma, or /11. We'd actually need dashes for MySQL, but let's say we have that. Well, by just passing it in here, I never have to mention birthday. It will know when inserting it to then have birthday equal to this. So I won't go and type the whole thing, but the point is that it can dynamically do that for us. And that doesn't seem that helpful when we're inserting one thing like this. It's the same problem that or it wasn't a problem, but the same thing we ran up into here. Like if you're just inserting this one hard-coded email, why does it matter? And the answer is down here. Well, it matters because now we don't have to hard-code it. What we can do is change this string, because we're no longer part of, up here, whatever we're typing is inside this text. But down here, it's not. It's separate. So we can replace this with something dynamic, like using Faker. But let's start by just making sure that Jenny works, just like that. Jenny467 at gmail.com. Let's save, and let's see what happens now. Insert into user set person is this. Okay. And it looks like we got an error this time. And it tells us, oh, okay, well, this is a silly one. This is my fault with the code, but it's something it's good to talk about. If you look at what the error is, it's telling me error is not defined. So it's saying this thing error is not defined. And actually, I was ignoring these, but I'm sure Cloud9 is trying to tell me. Yes, it is. It says error is not defined. And that's because up here I called it ERR. You can call it whatever you want. So I could call this mistake in all caps. It's a bad idea. It would be a mistake to use all caps, but as long as they match. So I'll go with ERR though. That's a standard thing, just like that. Okay, now we get a different error. This time, oh my goodness, it's the same one. Jeez. Now we get a different error. This time it's saying duplicate entry. Great, this is good to know. Now it's telling us we already have someone named Jenny467 at gmail.com. And the reason we're getting this error is that we already have a Jenny in there. So this is interesting, and this is why I added that primary key. So we just like 1 second ago inserted Jenny467 at Gmail, and we hit this problem with the error coming back where we had a syntax error, but it was still inserted. Remember, this code only runs when the insert or the query is done. So we inserted Jenny467, then I screwed up our code, and so it broke right here. But Jenny was already added. So now we just added another Jenny, or we tried to, and this time it came back saying there's a problem. And if we look at the error that it threw, it says duplicate entry for key primary. So you can see now how JavaScript is talking. This is the kind of, remember those arrows, I won't go back to the slides, the two-way arrows, where we tentatively tried to insert from Node, hey, can we insert Jenny467? Waited until it went to the database. The database said, let me think. No, sorry, we already have Jenny467 and there's a primary key constraint. Don't you remember? You made the schema. Well, that's a problem. I'm going to have to refuse your request and send you back an error, which then is passed into this. And this part runs. If error, throw the error. Okay, cool. So that's good to know it's working. So rather than doing Jenny467, let's change this to something more interesting anyways. Let's go back to using Faker. So we need to require Faker again. Require Faker. And all we'll do is insert someone with a new email. So it's just faker.internet.email. Like that. So what this will do is instead of having us hard-coded it, every time we run this file, it will insert a new email that it just generates. So let's try it, see what happens. Okay, it looks good. Something happened. Now you can see we got velma94@gmail.com. And let's do, how would we only identify the last one that was most recently added? Quick review. Well, we could do an order by created at. If we did it that way, you can see the last one is Velma. We're going in the wrong order, so we can do descending. And we could throw in limit 1. Now we get the most recent one. So if we go back to Bash, try running it again and again, we've got Sanford Gaylord 61. And actually, if I change limit to 2, because we just inserted 2, we also have travis60@gmail.com. Sweet. So I'll end the video here, but we saw now how we can insert things dynamically and why this syntax is preferable to this one up here, where we're hard coding it as a string, as text. This works, but it's limited, right? We can only insert whatever we type. This allows us to be dynamic. And shortly, in our web application, we won't have faker.internet.email. We'll have, this is pseudocode, whatever the user entered into the form. So when we have that form, the user enters their email, whatever they type in there, we're going to stick here. And we don't know it, right? We can't type it out exactly. We don't know what the email is itself, but we can save it in a variable. Okay, so we'll go back to faker.internet.email and we'll leave it there for now.